Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the FUNimation dub of episode 69 of Dragonball Super. We begin this episode with a pig making an announcement to the viewers. The pig assures the viewers that they aren't mistaken, this is a Dragon Ball Super episode, but this particular episode will be a crossover episode. So which series or franchise is crossing over with the Dragon Ball franchise, you may be wondering? It's actually a series or franchise that was created by Akira Toriyama before he created the Dragon Ball franchise. This series or franchise in question is none other than Dr. Slump. And the Dragon Ball franchise and Dr. Slump are not strangers when it comes to having crossovers between each other. There was actually a crossover between them back in the classic Dragon Ball series during the Red Ribbon Saga. To be more specific, it happened at the end of the General Blue sub-saga. So with that announcement made, we then see Arale Norimaki. Well, actually, the Super dub goes with the Arale pronunciation, but I'm used to the Arale pronunciation, so I'll be using the Arale pronunciation for the rest of this Recap and Thoughts video. But anyway, Arale and the Gachans are running around Penguin Village, the main setting of Dr. Slump, while a song is playing in the background. Eventually, Arale and the Gachans notice that Senbei Norimaki is preparing to head off to West City, and Arale is excited about the idea of traveling to a big city, but Senbei says that Arale should keep an eye on Penguin Village while he's away, and after he says that, Senbei heads out to West City, and the reason he's going to West City is because West City is where an event is being held. This event is known as the Annual World Inventors Award event. Pretty self-explanatory, wouldn't you say? So we have several news reporters that have arrived to cover the event. They have news cameras with them so that viewers at home can watch the event on their TVs. And we see that Bulma is a nominee for this year's award, and Vegeta and Trunks are also present as Bulma's guests. And the host of the event is none other than the world champion Hercule. We also see that Hercule also offered Goku a chance to be one of the security guards for the event, and Chi-Chi wanted Goku to accept the offer, and she wanted Goku to wear a suit and use gel in his hair to keep his hair down. And we do see Goku does have his hair down thanks to some hair gel, and he is wearing a suit. However, the gel doesn't seem to be working too well because Goku's hair goes back to its signature look, and when Goku is stretching a little, parts of his suit rip up, and Goku decides that this is just a hassle, so he goes to a nearby tree to lay down and take a nap. So as for the event itself, the winner is Senbei Norimaki, and his machine is the Reality Machine number 2. So this machine's ability is when you think about something to this machine, the machine is able to create what you're thinking about out of thin air. And we do see a few demonstrations of the Reality Machine number 2, and yes, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And Bulma's very impressed by the machine as well. Trunks wants a machine of his own, he admits. So Hercule thinks that there's no objections to Senbei winning this year's award. So he's about to give the medal to Senbei, but then suddenly someone says they object. And this individual happens to be Senbei Norimaki's rival, Dr. Masharito. And Dr. Masharito says he's furious that he wasn't invited since he is Senbei's greatest rival. But Senbei points out that Dr. Masharito is supposed to be dead. He actually pulls up a volume of the Dr. Slump manga and points this out to Dr. Masharito. But Dr. Masharito points downward, and we see that he doesn't have legs. He has a ghost tail, so this is his ghost. And Dr. Masharito explains that he was so angry after he heard about this event that he managed to escape the Home for Infinite Losers. Yes, you heard me correct. In the Funimation dub, he actually says the Home for Infinite Losers. But anyway, so Masharito is preparing for some revenge. And what is this revenge that he has in mind? He actually tells some other individuals to come onto the screen so they're visible to everyone in the room and to us, the viewers. And these individuals happen to be Aurelie and the Gachans. Dr. Masharito reveals that he had created an elixir or a tonic. He uses both words to describe it. But anyway, he uses this elixir or tonic that he calls Playtime X. And Dr. Masharito mixed this tonic in with Aurelie and the Gachans' foods. So this tonic or elixir has the ability to increase a kid's desire to play. It increases it by 100-fold. So yeah, Aurelie's idea of fun can cause a lot of collateral damage. So yeah, Aurelie is starting to make a mess of the area. The Gachans actually don't seem to cause too much trouble, interestingly enough. It's mostly Aurelie who's causing the collateral damage. But Hercule is able to convince the spectators to escape and get to safety during the event. And Hercule, Trunks, and Bulma convince Vegeta to try and take on Aurelie. So Vegeta prepares to fight Aurelie, who's excited about the prospect of fighting someone strong. So Vegeta is preparing to fight Aurelie, and Senbei and Trunks are trying to attack Dr. Masharito, but they can't really do much to him because he's a ghost. So anyway, Vegeta and Aurelie begin their fight, but Vegeta actually is surprised how strong Aurelie is, and their fight eventually heads to outside of the room where the event is being held, and they end up waking up Goku from his nap. Goku is in his regular gi again, by the way, too. And Goku and Aurelie are surprised when they see each other, but they don't remember each other, even though they actually have met before in the classic Dragon Ball series crossover. But Vegeta comments that he recognizes Aurelie as... Well, actually, he doesn't recognize Aurelie herself, the individual, but he pieces together accurately that Aurelie is a character from, in his words, an early 80s gag manga. Well, actually, he says the manga pronunciation, but potato. So anyway, Vegeta realizes that she's from a gag series, so Vegeta figures that he has to fight her as if he were from a gag manga too, because he realizes that the laws of reality won't work in this fight. Well, as realistic as you can get in a series that has flying and energy blasts and fight scenes, but I digress. So Vegeta tries to trick Aurelie at one point. He's like, "Oh, look at that! It's a UFO over there!" to try and sneak attack her. And this is the scene where the other characters find out that Aurelie's actually a robot, because Vegeta actually manages to knock Aurelie's head off, but because she's a robot, it doesn't hurt her at all. So she's able to just, pick her head up and put it back on. And she does clarify, yep, she's a robot. So afterwards, though, Aurelie manages to counter Vegeta. She manages to kick him really hard, and then she delivers a headbutt, which sends Vegeta flying who knows where. And after seeing Aurelie's headbutt, that's when Goku remembers Aurelie. He remembers her, and he says he remembers her. And this leads to Aurelie recognizing Goku, but commenting that Goku is now an adult. He's no longer a kid anymore. So Goku and Rayleigh are actually both excited about being able to fight each other. So Goku powers up to Super Saiyan Blue, which impresses Rayleigh, and so the two begin to have their sparring match, if you will. But eventually it gets to the point where Bulma decides that their best chance of being able to stop Rayleigh's idea of playtime is to summon forth Universe 7's destroyer, Beerus. So she contacts Whis to explain the situation, but Whis explains that Beerus is taking a nap right now, and even he wouldn't dare to wake Beerus up right now. But Bulma hasn't given up yet. She actually notices that one of the news cameras is still was left behind when the other individuals had escaped the area, and it's still recording. So Bulma realizes there is a way to summon Beerus. So Bulma picks up the news camera and she tells all the viewers watching, all the viewers who are watching from their homes on TV, she tells them to think about their idea of the most delicious food that they've ever had and to concentrate it on their TVs. And at this point, she's pointing the news camera towards reality machine number 2. So their thoughts are being transferred to reality machine number 2 now. And so all of these different ideas of delicious food is condensed into one superfood. That's what Bulma calls it, a superfood. And this superfood takes the form of a small round food pellet. And once it's created, Beerus wakes up because he smells it. Yeah, he can smell it all the way from his planet. So Beerus and Whis arrive to Earth as quickly as they can. And Beerus, he's not really talking. He's just trying to find that superfood. And he does manage to find it. Dr. Masharito, though, he doesn't seem to... he has no idea who Beerus is. And he thinks it's a good idea to tell Beerus to get lost. Beerus isn't even looking at Dr. Masharito at this point in time, but he holds up his hand and he performs the Hakai technique on Dr. Masharito. So, and Whis points out, even being a ghost isn't going to save you from the Hakai technique. So after the Hakai technique is performed, Beerus eats the superfood and he finds it very delicious. And Rayleigh calls Beerus a kitty cat or something along those lines. And Beerus doesn't take too well to that. He manages to knock Rayleigh's head off, and he's about to perform an attack on Rayleigh, but then he quickly tells Whis that they need to get out of there because Beerus is suddenly suffering from some stomach pain. And so after Beerus and Whis leave, though, it turns out the elixir's effects wore off. Like, maybe not immediately after they left, but it's implied maybe shortly afterwards. But once the elixir or tonic's effects have worn off, Senbei, Rayleigh, and the Gotchans are preparing to head back to Penguin Village. Senbei apologizes for the mess that was caused, but Hercule assures him not to worry about it. They can clean up this mess, no trouble. And Senbei should just concentrate on his inventions and just worry about making his inventions. And Senbei is grateful for this. And Goku and Rayleigh say their goodbyes, and they say that they're both excited to have a rematch with each other again someday, eventually. And Bulma is saying how she's prepared to go back home to make some more inventions herself. She's been inspired after the event. But Trunks comments that they can't just yet because there's one more thing they have to take care of. So then we cut to what happened to Vegeta. So he's the back of his suit is hanging from a tree branch, and Vegeta just has his arms folded, and he's just grumbling to himself along the lines of, "That's the last time I'm ever gonna fight a character who came from an early 80s gag manga. Never again." And that's how we end the episode. So there you go. We have ourselves a crossover between two of the franchises created by Akira Toriyama. And Dr. Slump, Dr. Slump was a franchise he created before he created the Dragon Ball franchise. From what I was able to gather, it's not the first franchise Akira Toriyama created, but it seems like Dr. Slump might have been the first franchise that would be considered a big hit that he created. So not the first one he created, but maybe the first one that made him a big name when it came to manga. But in any case, yeah, Dr. Slump is very big in Japan. To my knowledge, I don't recall, or at least for me personally, I've never seen Dr. Slump outside of the crossovers with the Dragon Ball franchise. And yeah, that's I don't know too much about the Dr. Slump. I acknowledge that. Like, I only first found out about it back when I watched the crossover that happened during the General Blue sub-saga. That was my first exposure to Dr. Slump. And I did look into it a little more, but otherwise, this episode actually, the nice thing about this episode was it helped me to learn more about Dr. Slump. Like, for example, I didn't know beforehand that Dr. Slump was actually a mocking nickname that Senbei's detractors gave him. So I didn't realize that Senbei was the character that Dr. Slump was named after. But hey, learned something new. And otherwise, I wasn't aware of Dr. Mascherito before I watched this episode too. So again, yeah, learned something new from this. So it was pretty cool getting to learn more about Dr. Slump because I wasn't really too familiar with it. So this definitely seemed like a great way to help some viewers learn more about Dr. Slump. And yeah, it was a pretty funny episode overall. Like, yeah, Vegeta commented Aurelie is a gag character, or she comes from a gag franchise. So obviously, laws of reality aren't really going to apply. But then again, yeah, the Dragon Ball franchise has its breaks from reality as well. But you get the idea. But yeah, I thought it was a funny episode. I got a lot of laughs out of this. And that's right, with the Funimation dub in particular, I was really surprised that they actually had Dr. Mascherito say that he escaped from the Home for Infinite Losers, or HFIL for short. For those who don't know, Home for Infinite Losers, or HFIL, was an alternate name that the English dubs provided in the edited version because obviously, yeah, they couldn't say the actual name of where that place is. And there were some characters in the regular DBZ anime that had the name of the place on their shirts. So when they edited for the edited English dub, they edited it so it looked like HFIL, and then they said it's an abbreviation for Home for Infinite Losers. And I actually think that was a pretty clever way to acknowledge that. Yeah, that was a pretty clever alternate name. And yeah, I know there were some fans that didn't like that they changed the name of it. They didn't like it, or some people accuse it of being a lie name or a false name. But it's like, it's just an alternate name for an edited version and for understandable reasons. And like I said, some fans though embrace it. Like, they like to joke around about it, like, what the Home for Infinite Losers, or everything's gone to Home for Infinite Losers in a handbasket. And it's like, yeah, that's me too. Like, I just embrace the jokes about it. And yeah, I thought it was, I got a good laugh out of that, even though I was surprised by it. And if I had to guess why they decided to go with Home for Infinite Losers, maybe they just thought it would fit the gag comedy part of the episode. That's my guess anyway. And I remember some fans had commented that even though Home for Infinite Losers was a creation for the English dubs, for edited versions of the English dub, it still sounded like something that Akira Toriyama could have thought up in a different scenario. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And otherwise, yeah. So this episode also had, Aurelie made a return, but they actually went with the Arale pronunciation here, even though classic Dragon Ball and earlier video games in the English dub, they went with the Aurelie pronunciation. So yeah, the Arale pronunciation is the sub pronunciation, and this actually isn't the first time when they've used a different pronunciation in the dub, but then they went with the sub pronunciation later on. Like, off the top of my head, there's a character from the 13th Dragon Ball Z movie. When the Funimation dub for that movie was initially released, the character's name was pronounced as Tapion. But in the Xenoverse 2 video game, the character's name is pronounced as Tapion, which is also the character's pronunciation in the subversion. And there was also some other examples too, like off the top of my head, Kaioken to Kaioken, for example. And once again, yeah, the whole pronunciation thing has led to some pretty intense debates among some fans. Like, some fans don't take kindly to different pronunciations, while some, yeah, there's a lot of name calling back and forth from both sides can have their share of extremists. And I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. I'm not much of a stickler over pronunciations. Now, make no mistake, I'll try to pronounce a real-life person's name the way they would pronounce it as long as I'm aware of it. But I think certain words you can be a little more flexible about their pronunciations. Like, I think fictional characters are an example of that. And this is because, yeah, certain words, when they have loan words from other languages, they can end up being pronounced differently. And even with certain words in the same language, there's different accents or different dialects within the same language that would pronounce a word differently. So, yeah, that's why I'm not much of a stickler over pronunciations. And if people want to use the original pronunciation or the sub-pronunciation, that's okay. Yeah, go ahead if you want to. Nothing against that. I won't antagonize you for that. But I just kindly request that you not antagonize people if they want to use the dub pronunciations. And the same goes the other way too, of course. If people want to use the sub-pronunciations, don't antagonize them over it. It's like, as long as we all know what we're talking about, there's no need to really antagonize each other over it. Or even just different names, like Home for Infinite Losers. Or like in this recap and thoughts video, I refer to the world champion as Hercule. It's like, as long as we know which characters we're talking about, or we just politely explain which character is which if anyone's confused, we'd all get along just famously. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I thought if nothing else, yeah, it's a good lesson about how, I think that getting worked up over different pronunciations is not something to lose sleep over. This isn't something that we should lose sleep over, and we should be civil and polite about it. But yeah, so hopefully we can encourage that, or I'm going to try and encourage that behavior anyway, and I hope others will as well. But anyway, I digress. So overall, yeah, I thought this was a fun episode, just lighthearted comedy. And yeah, it was very informative about Dr. Slump. I learned a lot about one of the franchises that Akira Toriyama created before he created the Dragon Ball franchise. So that was cool in my book. So next up, we're going to get another one-shot breather episode. And I hear from a lot of fans that the next episode is very funny. I hear it's very hilarious. I've seen some fans consider it to be the most hilarious episode in Dragon Ball Super, and I've even seen some fans go as far as to call it the funniest episode in the entire franchise. So that should be really interesting to see. We'll see what that's all about in the next recap and thoughts video for Dragon Ball Super. But for now, there we go. As of this video, we've now discussed the Funimation dub of episode 69 of Dragon Ball Super on this channel. Take care, and until next time.